We were talking about Alek Manoah off the top of the show. And in case you don't know, he's been recalled to the Toronto Blue Jays. He's pitching on Friday against the Detroit Tigers in Detroit. He made two starts in the minors, one in the FCL and one in Double A. Good outing in Double A, which I guess they thought was enough to bring him back. So let's bring in our next guest, Jordan Horrobin of North Star Bets. Jordan, when you first found out that he's coming back and he's making a start on Friday, less than a month since being set down, your reaction was what?
I mean, I had to check and make sure that it wasn't a typo, that it was for Toronto and not for Buffalo, because I thought his next start was going to be for Buffalo in Rochester. I felt like the natural progression from where things have gone. I am genuinely very surprised that he is already going to be back with Toronto. And I think most people are. I think that's the most common reaction at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, you make the big move, you send him down, and then you recall him early. I mean, the All-Star break's next week as well. Why not just wait a week and see what happens? I mean, it seems to be rushed, does it not?
I think so. I mean, I think the risk outweighs the reward at this point, because it was a big deal to send him down, right? I mean, you're not just sending him to Buffalo. You're not making up some sort of fake IL stint thing to kind of get him right quietly on the side. You sent him to your complex league in Florida, and the pitching lab situation is something people talked about a lot. So this felt like it was really sort of trying to strip everything down to the bare bones, figure out what's going on, take your time with the process, bringing him back. And here we are a month later, and he's coming back. It doesn't make sense to me. If he flops, then what? Where do you go from there? Do you give him another 3 or 4 starts of leash to kind of figure it out? I don't know that it's really worth it. I mean, if he's great, obviously we'll have a different conversation here, but of course they need to know what he's like and where he's at before the trade deadline. But I think at least one more start in the minors first to kind of see where he's at would have made a lot more sense than bringing him up now and risking something, a potential calamity here.
So okay, he makes a start. Let's say he doesn't get shelled. What is a good outing for Alek Manoah in his first start back?
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, he's built up, right? So it's not like we're going to need to necessarily see 3 innings from the guy. He's facing the Detroit Tigers, which probably not a lot better than the Rochester Red Wings would have been anyways. So I think you got to see 5 innings from him, and pitch control, command is probably the biggest thing. I mean, if it's 5 innings and 3 runs, that's not so bad if he's got 4 or 5 strikeouts in there and the walks are limited. If you start to see the walks tick up, or he hits a guy or 2 and things sort of unravel, that's where we have bigger concerns, because command is what the issue was to begin with, and release point and all those sorts of things.
Jordan, we know the Jays been running a 4-man rotation since Manoah went down. If he comes up and struggles, are the Blue Jays now put in a box where they have to be buyers for a starting pitcher come the deadline time?
Well, this is why this is just continuing to be confusing to me, because last Wednesday, when Ross Atkins was speaking to reporters, he spoke about starting pitching being the most obvious area for the team to add. And he gave the caveat of, while monitoring Manoah and Hyun-Jin Ryu. So of course, those situations need to continue to monitor. But, at that point in late June, we're talking literally 1 week ago, starting pitching was deemed the biggest area of need for this team. So yes, I would say if he does struggle at all, that will continue to be the case. But I mean, even if he makes, let's say, 3 starts here before August 1st, how good or how bad would he have to be to really change the team's mind from there? That's left to be seen. I think adding somebody who could be sort of a swingman type of guy and maybe take that 5th starting spot, or maybe eat some innings in the bullpen, probably is sort of a safer way to go if they can find someone that fits that mold. But I mean, if he's horrible, they're going to need to find a 5th starter somewhere. So we'll have to see.
But let's be positive, okay? Maybe he has got it figured out, and maybe he'll have a good start on Friday, and it's all great, back to where it should be. If that's the case, how does it affect the bullpen situation right now, knowing that they haven't got that bullpen start every 4 or 5 days?
Oh, I mean, it's absolutely huge. And I think what Trevor Richards has done in this time where there hasn't been a full 5-man rotation, that's not something that goes away. That's not something for the team to forget about. I mean, he's got one of the nastiest changeups in the game. It's so fun to watch. Even if you just search his name on Pitching Ninja, you'll see some really funny swings on that. But I think he's shown that he can take on a heightened role in this bullpen. I mean, you've got Romano on the back end, and he's your rock as the closer. Swanson has been largely very good as the setup man. But you could use Trevor Richards in a lot more high leverage situations. And if he doesn't have to be an opener or he doesn't have to be a bulk guy, then that just gives you more opportunities to use him in higher leverage spots.
Man, this Manoah situation is so incredibly interesting, but you're right though. It is such a risk. Hopefully it goes well. I mean, we're all cheering for him. We don't want this guy to come back and get shelled once again, but we'll see what happens. Let's talk about Vladdy. I mean, I don't want to do a little humble brag here, but me and Jordan called this Vladdy resurgence. I just want to say that.
Well,
so
it's not a very humble brag though, is it?
He's back. He's back. So
just an accurate brag.
Another clutch homer from him last night against the Chicago White Sox. John Schneider saying Vladdy's in a groove, and when he's in a groove, he's dangerous. What are you seeing from him right now? And based on what you're seeing, is it sustainable?
I think it's the type of thing where the confidence needs to be there, and once it's there, he is very dangerous. This is 2021 Vlad is what we all hope and dream for, right? And he was so fun to watch, and you knew anytime that he was up to bat, you wanted to be watching because something special could happen, and very often did happen. So to try to get back to that, you need a guy who has confidence, and clearly he's a guy who loves to be up in the big spots. I mean, Nick Ashburn for Yahoo Sports had an article out recently where he noted that Vladdy's weighted runs created plus in high leverage spots is 184, which is 84% above league average. And, high leverage spot is just a situation based on the score and the inning and runners on, that sort of thing. So the Blue Jays, generally speaking, have been very unclutch this year as an offense, but Vladdy has been very clutch. So when you see him coming up in a big spot, that's who you want there. That's who you want to have their bat in their hands. And it's been really fun to watch right now. I think any high leverage spot that you could have him in is the hope for sure.
Jordan, what do you make of Brandon Belt's immediate turnaround? He was struggling a lot earlier in the year. Now seems to be finding his groove. What do you make to his his hot bat he's swinging?
I mean, old man strength. Could it be that simple? I don't know. The guy, he's got an elite beard. I can only aspire. I mean, Justin, you're doing pretty well there as well. But
Appreciate it.
I think I'm below the Justin and Brandon tier of beard here. But he's a guy that has been doing it for a long time. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of that signing for the Blue Jays in the offseason because he felt kind of one-dimensional as a guy that you're going to platoon against right-handed pitchers. But he's been very, very good, and you see he's in that 3 spot a lot right now, 3, 4, 5. He's in the heart of the order. And I don't know. I don't know if it's a bit of a revitalized thing playing with some younger players, but the series recently against his old team, the Giants, I think he was really loose. He came into that joking about how he wanted to embarrass Logan Webb's family, and then he did by homering off him. So those sorts of things are really fun, and he's definitely been a good news story for the Jays this year.
We're speaking with Jordan Horrobin of North Star Bets, and with one Jordan to another Jordan Romano, who's been fantastic, and I think he deserves a lot more credit. Listen, another save last night, 25, most in the majors. He's got good numbers, a save percentage about 89%. Yet he's not an all-star, but tell me what you've seen from him and what you've liked this season.
Yeah, so I didn't understand why he wasn't an all-star, but then I realized it's baseball's sort of self-imposed rule where every team has to have an all-star. So Emmanuel Clase is the only all-star for the Guardians. Michael Lorenzen's the only all-star for the Tigers. And there's one more guy in there that, Kenley Jansen for the Red Sox is the only all-star for them. So if any of those teams had somebody else, he could easily bump them. He's a guy that is such a treat for the Blue Jays to have. He's so tall and has such incredible reach that the fastball gets up on these guys before they can do anything with it. I mean, 95, 96, I'm sure feels more like 98 based on where it comes out of his hand. So he's been really fun to watch. And yeah, the saves, I mean, he's got the most in the league. Saves are not always a sticky stat, but situationally he's been really good in the clutch moments. And being a guy at the end of the game, a closer, I mean, it's such a what have you done for me lately gig. And he's given up a run in 3 of his past 5 outings, but I don't think there needs to be any panic about that because, like you said, major league lead in saves, and he's a guy who's really hard to hit, even on just 2 pitches.
I'm trying to figure out what the trade market is on beards. And is there something they should look at? Maybe I'm sure the analytics have got some deeper stats about just
like
how
a beard transplant. Is that possible?
The what? Sorry,
a beard transplant. Have we gotten that technology yet? I don't know.
I'm sure it's doable. It has to be doable.
Yeah, people are doing that. Actually,
they are.
It's a
beard
real
transplant?
thing.
It's very common now. Actually, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
Some people
follically
can't do,
challenged
like, the
faces.
connection.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
I don't know where they take the hair.
I mean,
from.
we grow great beards, so
Thank
hey,
you. Not him,
we
but-
can't judge. on Romano though, is he the one pitcher though they can't afford to lose? We know that they've shown they can lose Manoah, opening day starter, and just about get by. Is Romano the one guy they can't lose though?
Well, I would say Gossman is right there too. I mean, that guy, every time he's out on the mound, you've got a good chance to win. So from a rotation standpoint, Gossman is absolutely irreplaceable. And a high-end starter, I would always put slightly higher. But from a relief standpoint, yeah, Jordan Romano is about as good as they come right now in the game. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's got the local flavor too. I think fans love that. But in terms of his skill set, and again, just his size, you can't teach size, you can't teach reach. And because of what he offers in that department, he's hittable. He's harder to hit in ways that other pitchers can't really replicate.
Quickly, Jordan, you have the Jays winning tonight. You like Barrios on the mound?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a pretty simple money line pick that I made here. Barrios is having an awesome season relative, especially to last year. Lance Lynn is having his worst year so far. It's been a long, pretty good career for Lance, but year 12 hasn't been treating him nicely. So, and he got shelled when he last faced the Jays in April, while Barrios' best start of the year came against the White Sox. It was 7 shutout innings. I think he struck out 9 guys. So yeah, I think he can shove, and I think they'll take the win tonight.
All right. Yes, they're laying -120 at North Star Bets. Jordan, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Take care. That's Jordan Horrobin of North Star Bets.